Okay, so today we're going deep into the UK underworld.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we're talking Curtis Warren,
Yeah.
and all based on this wild YouTube video I found.
Really?
Yeah, it's from this channel Scouse Sit-Off. Have you heard of it?
I'm familiar with it, yeah.
Yeah,
They do some interesting interviews. Lots of colorful characters from what I gather.
that's putting it mildly. It's like a who's who of Liverpool's underworld, past and present.
And I believe this one features Darren.
Yeah, Darren Gee, he seems to have moved on from that life, but clearly still has some stories.
Well, it's not the kind of life you just forget, I imagine.
Right. Like some of the stuff he talks about.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But what's got me hooked is how he talks about Curtis Warren.
Ah, yes, Warren. Quite the figure, even now.
Even now. That's the thing. He's practically counting down the days till Warren gets out of prison. It's like he sees him as some kind of returning hero.
Well, you have to understand, someone like Warren, he doesn't just disappear. Not in that world.
No kidding. I mean, I did some reading up on the guy, notorious drug trafficker, built this massive network.
A powerful figure, to say the least. The kind who shapes the entire landscape, even from a distance.
Exactly, and that's what G keeps coming back to. It's like he's nostalgic for the days when Warren was running things in Liverpool.
It happens more often than you'd think. These criminal ecosystems, they develop their own sort of order, a hierarchy.
Right, like their own set of rules, even if they're unspoken.
Precisely. When a dominant figure like Warren is removed, it disrupts everything, creates a void.
And chaos.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
But it also creates opportunities for others to rise in the ranks.
Which is probably what everyone's waiting for, huh? This power vacuum, G even says that when Warren was around, it kept other gangs out. Like there was this Irish cartel he mentions.
Fascinating. So it's almost a better the devil,
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. Like, yeah, Warren was bad news, but at least everyone knew where they stood. Now, who knows?
It highlights the complexities of these underground networks, the way they influence power dynamics, not just within their own circles, but within the community as a whole.
Totally.
Ah.
And the way G tells it, it's like he's describing these two different worlds colliding. He's got this story about going on fishing trips as a young lad with some of Liverpool's most notorious figures.
Really?
Yeah, including Warren. Can you imagine that?
That's quite an image. A bunch of hardened criminals out for a day of fishing.
Right. And G's there, just a kid serving them tea. He says he didn't even realize who they were at the time.
Those kinds of details,
Yeah.
they really give you a glimpse into the reality of this hidden world.
For sure. It's like he describes these outings as the main lads in the city all going on this fishing expedition. You can almost picture it, this strange juxtaposition of casual fishing trips and the top echelon of Liverpool's underworld.
It speaks to how these organizations operate, don't they? Often hidden in plain sight. Their true nature obscured by everyday activities.
It's like they live double lives, but their real power comes from the reputation, the fear that follows them. And the names G drops, Joe McNally, George Sr.,
It seems like everyone was connected to Warren in some way.
in some way. It's incredible. It really makes you wonder just how deep this all goes.
It's a reminder that these criminal enterprises, they aren't isolated entities. They exist within a complex web of relationships, alliances, and rivalries that often stretch far beyond our perception.
It's wild, right? Like you said, Warren's been locked up for years, but it's like his influence is still there, looming over everything.
It's almost as if the anticipation of his return is more powerful than his actual presence.
It's like everyone in Liverpool is holding their breath, waiting to see what happens when he gets out.
I suppose in a way they are. It's the uncertainty, isn't it, that creates the tension.
For sure. Like, will things go back to how they were, or will everything explode? Who knows?
It's a chance for new power structures to emerge, new alliances to be forged.
It's like a whole new game is about to begin. And G had a front row seat to the last one, even if he didn't realize it at the time.
That's the thing about these networks, isn't it? They can draw people in without them even realizing it.
Totally. 1 minute you're a kid serving tea on a fishing trip. The next you're caught up in something much bigger.
And it makes you wonder about the lasting impact of that kind of exposure. The normalization of certain behaviors, the acceptance of a different moral code.
Yeah, it's like G's story is just one small piece of a much larger puzzle.
Yeah.
A puzzle that we're only just beginning to understand.
And it's a puzzle that extends far beyond the streets of Liverpool. These themes of power influence the allure of hidden worlds. They resonate across cultures and societies.
It's kind of unsettling when you think about it, how these forces operate beneath the surface, often undetected until it's too late.
That's the thing about the underworld, isn't it? It thrives in the shadows. And the more we try to shed light on it, the more we realize how much we don't see.
It's like we fell down a rabbit hole. Started with a YouTube video, and now I'm questioning everything I thought I knew about, well, everything.
That's the power of these stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
They make us realize how much we take for granted, how much goes on beneath the surface.
For sure. Like, we all know organized crime exists, but it's easy to think of it as something separate from our lives. G's story really brings it home, showing how it intersects with everyday life.
It reminds us that these worlds, these systems, they're not confined to dark alleys or back rooms. They exist everywhere, influencing everything, shaping our realities in ways we often don't even recognize.
So what do we do with that? I mean, knowing all this, how do we even begin to process it?
Perhaps it starts with awareness. By acknowledging these hidden dynamics, by questioning the narratives we're told, we can start to see the world with a more critical eye.
So, like, be more skeptical, question everything.
In a way, yes.
Hmm.
But it's more than that. It's about recognizing that power operates on multiple levels, that there are always unspoken rules at play, whether we're aware of them or not.
It's like that saying, the fish don't know they're in water. We're so surrounded by these systems, these unspoken rules, that we don't even see them.
Precisely. And until we become aware of the water, we're bound to be swept along by its currents. G's story, as unsettling as it might be, offers us a chance to break free from that.
Wow. Heavy stuff. Big thanks to Scouse Sidoff for taking us down that rabbit hole. And to all of you listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions.